Namaskar, I'm Ashok Vyas and welcome to this special weekly edition of Padma Shri with Padma Shri Dr. Sudhir Parikh this week. Doctor, welcome, namaste.
Namaskar, namaskar.
So, we start on a serious note, Dr. Sahab. The number is very shocking. We in America have lost over 500,000 people due to COVID. And what way we are moving now, do you see there is going to be control?
Yes, there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Since 42 million people got vaccinated in USA, and 30% of the USA population is already infected. So we are coming to the close to the herd immunity, which is about 80%. So hopefully within in this spring and early summer, I think the whole country will be kind of under quote unquote herd immunity, and which will control the virus 100%.
In that context, the approach adopted by President Biden, uh, is it making significant progress in terms of more and more people being vaccinated at fast pace?
Yes, but still, its space is very slow according to even his standard. Because he promised 100 million people to be vaccinated in 100 days, he's going half the rate. So I think he has to ramp up the number of vaccination, number of sites, number of locations, and also open up for the different age group.
And looking at President Biden's nominee from Indian origin, Neera Tandons, she is not going through. He nominated her as office of management and budget. Um, how do you see this development in terms of the divided house and, of course, the background of Neera Tandon?
Well, I mean, Neera Tandon's background is a little controversial, and probably her nomination will not go through because they do not have votes. Plus, a couple of Democratic senators are also going against her because of her past political opinions and views. And that is, I think, hurting her right now. Even though she is an excellent candidate, but I don't think she will go through. And Biden has to replace her with another candidate.
And in terms of another issue that concerns Indian American community, and you not just being a physician, very active in the community leader, and there is a gentleman by the name Dr. Amis Jabra. You definitely would know. He is chairman of or was chairman of FIA in that side, and there's been some Khalistani people disrupting his normal life and sort of threatening. You might have seen those videos, and how
Yes,
how do
I've
you?
seen, and that is it's very deplorable. And no one, I mean, everyone has right to have their own views and opinions, and this kind of threat or this kind of disruption of the life of Dr. Amis Jabra is unacceptable, and we all should get together and unite together and oppose this kind of uncivilized way of dealing with person who is community leaders whose opinion counts and who has done so much for community. But he should not be treated like that, and we should all stand behind him.
Absolutely, I agree with you, and I also mentioned that he founded Festival of Globe, a multi-ethnic festival, and has been very active in various community members. He came to America in 1973, and all those references to
Now I
suggest.
know him. He is a good friend of mine. I know him personally, and we worked together in API, and we worked together in the early '90s in political forum together. So I know him very well. He's an excellent leader with a very impeccable credential, and he should be supported, and his views should be supported. And no one has right to oppose someone's view and threaten the person and threaten his lifestyle and so forth.
Absolutely. So I seek your guidance and your input on in what way community should respond so that there is a collective strong voice reaching to mainstream media as well as to politicians including White House, because this kind of scene.
Well, I mean, community has to get together. They write the petitions. They should write the op-ed pages. They should release the press releases and voice their voice against this kind of gundagiri, and they should stand together and united. And they write to the president's office. They should write to the senators and congressmen of San Francisco area where the Amis Jabra is residing, and create the whole atmosphere of support for him, and give the right narrative to the authorities and all the people concerned.
I think what you said is very, very important. And in this context, in your opinion, is there any organization which is championing this cause, or should FIA be the one to take up this? And there would be more instances like this. For example, if I connected in a different way with the way Mahatma Gandhi's statue were broken at few places, including Washington, D.C., and I think in California also. But there was no solid opposing voice of condemnation, at least not on in the mainstream media as well as. So I think we are somewhere lacking in terms of being proactive to raise voice as community. Do you look at it that way?
Yes, and here all the organization doesn't have to be only FIA or a social organization. Any organization which is political, social, cultural, all or otherwise should pose this kind of thing and come together, come united together and lead and voice and change the narrative and support the right thing.
Absolutely. I appreciate that. And based on the conversations that we have had in this show, our viewers are also aware that you prefer to have a world where we have harmony, where people coexist with respect for each other. But unfortunately, there are many events which seems to suggest that community is moving in a different direction. Now, moving towards India and talking about farmers' agitation, where we are right now, how do you see, is it moving towards resolving in near future, or it is likely to persist?
Well, I'm a very optimistic person, so I believe that it should be resolved soon rather than later. And but looks like there is impasse, and I think government and farmer has to sit down together and resolve their differences without getting politics into the whole thing. Then it will work without accusing each other for anything or different thing. Then it will work. And so I think on the farmer side as well as on the government side, they must sit down and talk and negotiate the resolution. And it can happen. I mean, it is achievable. So nothing is impossible. So I'm sure, I'm hoping that it will happen sooner than later.
I think what you said was also echoed in some way by Home Minister Amit Shah in a different context, where he said that if you consider yourself helpless, then there is no way to move forward. So हिंदी में उन्होंने ऐसा कहा था कि असहाय समझकर किसी का भला नहीं होता है. So that sense of confidence and optimism sustains us. Now look at the court's decision to issue bail for Disha Ravi. You are aware she is very much in the news, and there were references that she was a part of the group which had some Khalistani link, Sikh for Justice and ask India why, etc. The court says there are no enough evidence to suggest that she acted against India, though based on the references that she deleted the WhatsApp chat with Greta, etc. So overall, your impression about this case and court's decision?
Well, this case on the prima facie, it looks like that she might be involved in kind of little anti-national or anti-government activities. And but again, in democracy, everyone has to. Everyone is kind of innocent till you prove that. And in order to prove it's a human rights or everyone's individual rights, that you should be given them a proper follow the proper formality, means given the FIR, then do the investigation, and after certain weeks of investigation, if you find something, then charge her, and that way you can pursue further. But what court is saying that whatever investigation they did or did not do, there is not enough evidence. So we have to, in democracy, we have to kind of believe the court, and if we don't agree with the court, then we should go to the higher level and challenge that decision and get the right answer.
The way things are, and coming back to this farmers' agitation, the recent statement by one leader, Tiket, who is not ready to, as you were mentioning, there should be a dialogue, and they did make attempts to have dialogue. There were 11 meetings, I believe, and after Rail Roko, now he is calling that they will have, instead of 4 lakh, 40 lakh tractors, and they will flow near the parliament and they will get out the parliament. And that one may find amusing, but this actually start translating into real things. So as a precaution, if you were to advise government of India, what would you tell them? They should attend to these kind of ideas that are floating and then mobilizing people to act.
No, of course, government should have enough intelligent work to be done. And if they find that there is danger to the society or peace of the society, then they must put the curfew, or they must clamp down with the law and order very strongly. That's the only way to put this kind of agitations away. But more than that, I think it is high time now. It's 2.5 months of this agitation. The government should somehow come to some kind of compromise with the farmers, and farmers should also come to some kind of compromise with the government and resolve the whole issue of the agitation.
And now, as we are witnessing another election cycle in the state level in India, Bengal is also in the center. Home Minister paid a couple of visits there. The mood of Bengal, Prime Minister also is paying attention. Do you see some likely change in the politics of Bengal in near future?
Well, I mean, always in the democracy, whenever this election happens, there's always likelihood of the change. And this time, I think BJP is aggressively kind of pursuing to take over the majority in the Bengal. And I'm sure, knowing the Prime Minister and Home Minister and BJP machinery for election, I would not be surprised if BJP take over the West Bengal after the election.
Wonderful. And as we move towards the concluding part, I bring you back to America and the recent announcement by President Biden to support small business owners, and he announced PPP. And how do you see these measures? Will they help in sort of bouncing back the economy?
Yes, yes, definitely. Because I mean, they had this kind of announcement last year. They gave money to all the small businesses and so forth, and that's why they protected a lot of jobs loss, and this one also will protect a lot of job loss in certain industries like restaurant or travels or any other small businesses. I think it's a great idea, and that's the only way to fight the pandemic and maintain the growth of the economic growth of the country next year.
Wonderful. So, as we conclude today's session, two questions for you. One, do you see community members making proper, effective use of technology to stay united in spite of not being able to mingle with each other as much as we used to do?
Yes, yes, they should do that. They should do that. They should get united. And we have so many social media, so many other instruments to keep communicating with each other and keep and stay united.
And your final words, considering that the threat of COVID is bringing references that we might have some lockdowns, more restrictions in America. Also, something like this is happening in India, in Maharashtra, etc., where they are considering lockdown again.
Well, I mean, this kind of sporadic hotspot lockdown, it can happen because of, or depending upon whether people got the vaccination or not, or people are behaving properly or not, and so forth. But overall, I think pandemic is coming under control. Vaccines are available. Everyone should get vaccinated whenever they get a chance. Vaccine is safe and very effective. So please go and get vaccinated, which is very safe and effective, and will end this pandemic, and we can go back to a normal life. So thank you. See you again next week, and God bless America. God bless India, and God bless Indian American community. Goodbye. Goodbye.